The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for so long that most species could not remember a time without it. The chamber sat at the heart of the Nexus, a huge station that floated where three spiral arms met. Its walls shone with living crystal that changed color to match the mood of the debate. Inside sat beings from every corner of known space, tall insect-like Vyarth, with clicking mandibles, slow-moving gas clouds of the nebulan, massive stone-skinned Gorath, who spoke in deep rumbles, delicate winged Lurans, who glowed softly, and at the center, the Clithar crystalline beings who never moved fast but always seemed to know more than they said. Today the chamber buzzed with quiet anger. The subject was humans. They had spread too fast, built too many colonies, refused every limit the council tried to place on them. The latest problem came from the edge of council space. A human fleet had entered a restricted nebula, claimed the resources, and left without asking permission. The council had sent warnings, humans ignored them. The council had sent enforcers, humans outran them or outfought them, or simply vanished into deep space, only to reappear somewhere else. Ambassador Vexthra of the Clithar stood tall among the delegates. His body looked like clear quartz shot through with blue light. He raised one slender arm. The room grew still. We have tried reason, we have tried force, we have tried patience. None of it works. The humans do not respect our laws. They do not fear our power. They multiply like insects and spread like fire. If we let this continue, the council will lose control of the galaxy. A Gorath rumbled in disagreement. Humans are young, they will learn in time. Vexthra turned his faceted face toward the stone being. Learn in 300 cycles. They went from single planet to 300 worlds. They build ships faster than we can count them. Their weapons improve every standard year. No, they will not learn, they will conquer. Alurin fluttered her wings softly. What do you suggest? We cannot declare open war. The cost would break us all. Vexthra nodded. That is why we will not fight. We will forget them. The chamber filled with confused murmurs. Forget? Yes, Vexthra said. We will impose the silent sanction. No trade, no contact, no records. We erase every mention of Earth and its people from our archives. We close every gate, shut every beacon, pull back every scout. They will sit alone in their little system. Until they starve or collapse, the galaxy will move on without them. In time, no one will remember their name. A Vyarth tilted his head. That seems cruel. It is not cruel, it is clean, Vexthra answered. They chose chaos. We choose order. The vote took less than one cycle. Every species, except 3 small ones who abstained, raised their markers in favor. The silent sanction became law. Within days, the machinery began to move. Relay stations near Sol shut down. Trade ships turned away. Human diplomats found their access codes, canceled their messages, bounced back unanswered. Ambassadors from other worlds left Earth without explanation. The council even sent a final polite note. It said simply, your presence disrupts harmony. Please accept isolation for the greater good. No reply came. Scout drones watched from far away. They saw the lights of Earth cities dim. A little ships stopped leaving orbit. Stations grew quiet. The humans seemed stunned at first, then angry. Then they simply stopped talking to the outside. The signals from Sol became fewer and weaker. Vexthra watched the reports with satisfaction. He stood in his private chamber on the Nexus and looked at the holographic map. The Sol system glowed faint red, a forgotten corner. Now the rest of the galaxy shone bright and busy. They will fade, he told himself. They always do when cut off from the whole. Cycles passed. 3 standard years by human count. The council met less often about humans. Other problems took their place. A war between 2 minor races, a plague on an outer world, a new species asking for membership. Routine things. Every few months, a scout drone sent an update. Earth still existed. Power levels dropped. Population estimates fell slightly. Ships sat idle in dock. The humans seemed to be shrinking in on themselves. Vexthra kept the reports in a special file. He read them late at night. When the Nexus lights dimmed, he told himself. This proved he had been right. Isolation worked. It always worked on species that refused to fit the pattern. One day, a junior analyst came to his chamber. The young Clithar looked nervous. "Sir, the latest scan from Sol shows something strange." Vex returned, "What is it?" "The population readings, they are not falling anymore, they are steady. But the energy signature has changed, it is lower but more focused, we cannot tell what they are doing." Vexthra waved a hand. "It means nothing, they are conserving what little they have let them." The analyst hesitated. "There is more, the outer habitats on Mars, and the asteroid bases, they are empty, no life signs at all." Vexthra paused. "Empty?" "Yes sir, no signals, no movement, the drones saw no evacuation, no ships leaving, just gone." Vexthra stared at the hologram for a long moment. Then he said, "Keep watching, send more drones if needed. But do not disturb the sanction, the humans are dying quietly, that is all." The analyst bowed and left. Vexthra returned to his chair. He told himself the humans had finally broken, they had abandoned their outer worlds to save the home planet. It made sense, they were running out of everything. He did not feel the small cold doubt that began to grow inside him, not yet. The galaxy continued its endless dance. Trade flowed, wars flared and ended, alliances formed and broke. The name Earth appeared less and less in conversations. When it did, people spoke of it like an old story, a cautionary tale about what happens when a species refuses to join the greater order. Vexthra sometimes thought about the humans when he walked the quiet halls of the Nexus. He wondered if they still looked at the stars, if they still dreamed of more. He told himself it did not matter, they were gone from history, now a footnote at best. He was wrong, but no one knew that yet. The silent sanction had worked perfectly. The galaxy had turned its back, the humans had fallen silent. And in that silence, something terrible began to grow. No one noticed. Not yet. The day the scouts reported the anomaly started like any other on the Nexus. Vexthra sat in his chamber, reviewing trade agreements between the Luran and the Nebulan. When the alert chime sounded soft, but urgent, he touched the crystal panel, and a hologram of the Sol system appeared. The sun burned steady, as always, but the blue marble that should have been Earth was gone. No glow, no signal, no mass signature at all. Vexthra stared at the empty spot. He blinked his inner facets once, twice. The image did not change. Earth simply was not there. He opened a secure line to the observation post. The voice that answered belonged to Senior Watcher Thaler, a calm, older Clithar, who rarely showed surprise. "Report," Vexthra said. Thaler spoke without pause at cycle mark 1097. "All standard scans returned null for Terra Sol 3. The planet registers as absent, no debris, no energy bloom, no gravitational distortion. The moon still orbits, nothing. Mars colonies show zero life signs. Asteroid habitats are dark, no ships, no transmissions, nothing." Vexthra felt the first real chill in many cycles. How is this possible? "We do not know," Thaler answered. "Probes are moving in closer. Now deep scans show the solar wind flows normally, the sun radiates as expected, but the third planet has vanished without trace." Vexthra closed the line. He stood and walked to the wide viewport that looked out over the swirling arms of the galaxy. Stars burned bright, trade lanes glowed with ship traffic. Everything moved as it should, yet one small system had lost its heart. He summoned an emergency session. The council chamber filled quickly. Delegates arrived with confused expressions. Some had not thought of humans in years. Now they gathered again, because of them. Vexthra stood at the center and projected the empty hologram. The blue dot was missing. The chamber went quiet. "Terra has disappeared," he said. "No destruction, no relocation, no warning. It is simply gone." Agoreth shifted his massive weight. "That is impossible. Planets do not vanish." "Yet it has," Vexthra replied. "Our best sensors confirm it. The entire Sol inner system, outer colonies included, shows no intelligent activity." A nebulan cloud swirled faster. "What of their sun? Is it stable?" "Stable," Vexthra said. "No change in output, no flare, no dimming. The system behaves as if the third planet never existed." A Luran fluttered high above her seat. "Perhaps They triggered a weapon, a self-destruct device that consumed the world. No radiation, Vexthra answered. No residual particles, no heat scar, nothing fits known weapons. Avirth clicked his mandibles. Maybe. They fled, moved the planet somehow. Impossible, Vexthra said. Moving a planet requires energy beyond anything we have measured. The gravity wake alone would have torn the system apart. We would see it. Then what happened? Another delegate asked. Silence followed. No one had an answer. Vexthra let the quiet stretch. He wanted them to feel it. The humans had always been a problem. Now they were a mystery, a hole, where a threat used to be. We will investigate, he said. More probes, more analysts, full spectrum sweeps. But the sanction remains in place. No contact, no announcement. We watch, we wait. The delegates nodded. Some looked relieved, others looked uneasy. Vexthra saw it in the way their lights dimmed, or their gases slowed. The council had wanted humans gone. Now humans were gone in a way no one expected. Days passed. Probes reached the empty orbit. They found nothing, no rubble, no metal fragments, no signs of struggle. The space where Earth had been was clean, too clean, perfect, vacuum perfect. Cold, the probes sent back images of empty blackness, where a thriving world should have been. Analysts pored over the data. They ran simulations. They checked every record. Nothing matched. No species in history had ever disappeared so completely. Not the lost precursors, not the vanished swarm races, not even the ancient ones who walked before light. Vexthra read every report. He sat alone in his chamber late into the sleep cycle. The hologram of the empty system floated before him. He tried to imagine what could do this. A black hole too small to detect a fold in space. A weapon no one knew about. Each idea sounded more impossible than the last. He remembered the human ambassadors from years ago. They had stood in this very chamber, loud voices, full of pride, full of demands. They spoke of destiny, of exploration, of rights. Now their world was missing, and no one knew why. A new report arrived from the outer rim. A scout ship had passed near the old human colony on Proxima B. The planet was dark, no lights, no signals. The small dome city stood empty, doors open, lights off, equipment left in place, as if everyone walked away at the same moment. Vexthra felt the chill deepen. This was not collapse, this was something else. He called Thaler again. What do the latest probes show? Thaler answered, they show nothing, sir. The void is perfect. No dust, no micrometeorite trails, no unusual particles. The space remembers nothing of a planet. Vexthra ended the call. He looked out at the stars again, billions of them, all still in place, all following rules. Humans had followed no rules. Now humans followed no rules in a new way. Rumors began to spread quietly among the lower decks of the Nexus. Workers whispered about the lost world. Some said humans had ascended to another plane. Others said they had become ghosts. Some laughed and said good riddance. The council had won without firing a shot. Vexthra did not laugh. He felt no victory, only questions. He walked the long corridors to the archive vault. The great crystal doors opened at his touch. Inside, endless shelves of data crystals glowed softly. He found the human section, every file, every record, every treaty, every warning, every note of complaint, all still there. But now they felt like relics of something finished. He touched one crystal, a hologram of a human leader. Appeared, the man spoke with force. We will not be contained. We will not be silenced. The galaxy is large enough for all. Vexthra shut it off. The words sounded different, now not angry, not defiant, just certain. He returned to his chamber. The hologram of the empty system waited. He stared at it for a long time. Perhaps they really are gone, he told himself. Perhaps the sanction worked better than we knew. Perhaps they simply could not survive alone. But the doubt grew. It started small, a tiny crack in his perfect logic, then it spread. Because no species vanished like this, not without reason, not without purpose. Vexthra dimmed his lights and tried to rest, but rest did not come easy. The galaxy felt larger tonight and quieter. Far quieter than it should. The silence from Sol stretched on. No signal, no flare, no sign. The council returned to other matters: trade disputes, border patrols, new members. They spoke less of humans each day. But Vexthra kept watching. He kept the private file open. He kept the probes running. He told no one about the small, cold feeling that settled in his core. Because deep down he began to suspect the truth. The humans had not vanished. They had hidden. And in hiding they had changed into something the council could not yet see. Something patient. Something waiting. Something that listened to the silence they had been given and learned from it. The galaxy moved forward, but the empty spot where Earth used to be stayed empty. And in that emptiness, something watched back. No one knew it yet, but the first threads of fear had begun to weave themselves through the stars. Silent and slow, just like the humans had become. 70 cycles had passed since Earth disappeared. The council had almost stopped talking about it. New crises filled their days: a border clash between the Gorath and the Virth, a failing star system that needed evacuation, a young species that demanded full membership, too soon routine problems that kept the Nexus busy. Vexthra still checked the Sol reports every few days, but the probes returned the same thing every time: empty space, perfect silence, no chain. Then the first crack appeared. It started small: a mining station on the edge of the Perseus arm lost contact with its supply convoy. The station belonged to the Clithar and supplied rare isotopes to half the council worlds. 3 days later, the station came back online. Crew logs showed the workers replaced, not killed, not injured. Replaced. The new crew wore plain gray uniforms, moved with quiet efficiency, and spoke only when needed. The old crew had vanished without a fight, no alarms, no damage, no trace of struggle. Vexthra read the report in his chamber. He felt the chill return stronger now. He called the station commander. The new commander answered in a calm human voice. "Identify yourself," Vexthra said. The voice replied, "We are here to maintain operations. The isotopes will ship on schedule." Vexthra demanded, "Where are the original crew?" The voice answered, "They chose to leave, we chose to stay." Vexthra cut the connection. He sent enforcer ships. The ships arrived, found the station running perfectly, better than before. The new crew handed over full records. Every crystal, every shipment accounted for. No theft, no sabotage. Just smooth work. The enforcers left confused. Vexthra filed the incident as isolated, but then it happened again. A Virth trade hub in the Orion spur woke to find its central vault empty. Rare isotopes, gone the kind only humans had once traded before the sanctioned. Security logs showed nothing, a brief flicker of darkness. Then the vault stood open and empty. No forced entry, no weapons fire, no footprints. The station master found one thing left behind: a small metal plate etched with old Terran script, "We remember." Vexthra stared at the image of the plate. The words burned into his mind. He had seen that script before on human documents from years ago. Simple, direct, a promise, a warning. More reports followed. A border fortress on the neutral zone powered down for exactly 7 seconds, then came back online with no memory of the lapse. When technicians checked, they found supply caches, missing food, fuel, medical packs, enough for a small fleet, all gone without a sound. Another world, a quiet agricultural planet that had voted for the sanction, lost its entire orbital grain reserve. Ships docked normally, crews unloaded normally. Then the silos stood empty. Guards reported a moment of dizziness. Then nothing. The same plate waited on the docking arm. "We remember." Vexthra called the council to session. He projected the growing list of incidents onto the chamber walls. The delegates watched in silence. "These are not random acts," Vexthra said. "Every target voted for the silent sanction. Every theft matches exactly what we denied Earth during the embargo: food, isotopes, fuel, medical supplies, all the things isolation was supposed to starve them of." Alurin asked, "But who is doing this? The humans are gone, their world is empty." Vexthra dimmed slightly, "Not gone, hidden." The word hung in the air. The chamber felt colder. A Gorath rumbled, "If they live, why do they not speak? Why no demands, no ships, no fleets?" "Because they do not need to speak. Yet Vexthra answered they take what they need and leave silence behind. Analysts worked day and night. They mapped every incident. The pattern formed clear and sharp. Every affected system lay along old human trade routes. Every theft happened without violence, without detection. The humans moved like shadows through systems that had once ignored them. One report chilled Vexthra more than the rest. A scout ship near the old Proxima colony found a derelict human freighter drifting. The ship looked abandoned, engines cold, hull breached. But inside the logs still ran fresh power, hummed quietly. The final entry read simply, "We are everywhere now." Vexthra played the log again, and again the voice sounded calm, almost kind, no anger, no fear, just fact. He walked the Nexus halls at night, when most slept. The crystal corridors glowed soft blue. He passed workers from a dozen species. They nodded politely. None knew the growing fear in his core. He wondered if the humans watched even here, if they had agents among the cleaners, the technicians, the quiet ones who moved unnoticed. He returned to his chamber. The hologram showed the galaxy with red marks. Where incidents had occurred, the marks spread slow, but steady like ink in water. Vexthra sat and thought back to the vote, the day he proposed the sanction. He had called humans chaotic. He had said they refused order. Now order refused them, and they answered with perfect silent order of their own. A new message arrived from Thaler, the senior watcher. "Sir, we found something in the deep scans, a faint signature near the old Sol jump point. Not a ship, not a probe, something colder, something that absorbs light." Vexthra leaned forward. "Show me." The hologram shifted. A black shape moved against the stars. No heat, no emissions, just mass, perfect stealth. It vanished before the scan could lock. Vexthra felt his facets tighten. "That is no known design." Thaler answered, "No, sir, but the trajectory points toward Council space." Vexthra ended the call. He stared at the empty spot. Where Earth used to be, the silence from Sol had not ended. It had grown, it had learned, it had waited. He remembered the human envoy from long ago. The man had smiled when the sanction was announced. He had said, "You will regret this one day," not in anger, just calm certainty. Vexthra had dismissed it as bluff. Now the words echoed. The incidents continued. A relay station lost its entire data core for 1 minute, then regained it with no corruption. But every file mentioning humans had vanished, cleanly erased, as if never written. A Nebulan gas refinery found its processing core, upgraded overnight, better efficiency, higher output. The workers had no memory of the change, only a small plate left on the control deck. "We remember." Vexthra stopped sleeping fully. He watched the reports pile up. He saw the pattern tighten. The humans did not attack, they corrected, they took back. What was denied, they reminded the galaxy of what it had tried to forget. He called one last private meeting with the senior analysts. "Tell me the truth," he said. "How many of these events have we confirmed?" The lead analyst answered, "All of them, sir, and more come in every cycle. The pace increases." Vexthra asked, "Can we stop them?" The analyst paused. "We do not know what they are using. We do not know where they come from. We do not know how many they are." Vexthra dimmed his inner light. "Then we wait." But waiting felt different now. The silence no longer belonged to the council. It belonged to the humans. They had taken it, wrapped it around themselves, and turned it into armor. Vexthra looked out at the stars. The galaxy still moved trade, still flowed lights, still burned. But something had shifted, something watched from the dark between systems, something patient, something that remembered every slight, every embargo, every vote. And it was coming closer. No fleets roared, no declarations rang out, just quiet steps in the void, small thefts, small reminders, small plates with 2 words. "We remember." The council tried to ignore it. They focused on other matters. They told themselves it was piracy or remnants or coincidence. But the truth pressed in slow and heavy. The humans had not died. They had waited. They had built in silence. They had learned every weakness the galaxy showed them. And now they moved. Silent, efficient, unstoppable. Vexthra felt the fear settle deep. He had wanted humans forgotten. Now the galaxy would never forget them again. Because the silence had ended. And what came after silence was far worse. 74 cycles after the vanishing, the first true sign came not as a scream, but as a whisper. A single relay beacon on the outer edge of Council space went dark for exactly 11 seconds, then came back online with perfect normal readings. Technicians checked and found nothing wrong. Yet in those 11 seconds, every defense grid along that sector had accepted new command codes. No one knew where the codes came from. No trace led back to any ship. No signal had been sent. Vexthra read the report in silence. He felt the pieces shift inside him. The humans had stopped taking small things now. They took control quietly, cleanly, without anyone noticing, until it was done. He called the full council to the chamber. Delegates arrived expecting another minor report. They sat in their thrones and waited. Vexthra stood at the center and spoke. No greeting, no soft words. "It begins now," he said. He projected the map. The galaxy appeared in bright colors. Trade lanes glowed. Council worlds shone steady. But along the borders, faint shadows moved, shadows that had no name, shadows that matched no known fleet. "These are not pirates," Vexthra said. "These are humans." A murmur rose. The Lurin wings fluttered fast. The Goreth shifted heavily. The nebulan clouds swirled tight. "How can you know?" one delegate asked. "Because they leave messages," Vexthra answered. "Not words, not demands, just proof." He showed the latest images. A border fortress on the neutral line stood intact, but empty. Guards reported they woke to find their weapons offline, their ships powered down, their command center occupied by calm figures in gray uniforms. The figures did no harm. They simply waited until the local leaders arrived. Then they offered terms: surrender the station, keep your lives, keep your people. The choice is yours. No one fought, no one died. The station changed hands in minutes. The new controllers sent one transmission to the council: "We hold this point now. Further resistance is optional." Vexthra dimmed his light. "They do not destroy, they replace." More reports flooded in. A Virith shipyard lost contact with its orbital ring. When contact returned, the ring produced ships faster than before, sleek black hulls that drank radar and light. The workers stayed, but answered to new orders. A human overseer walked the decks, polite and firm. Production rose. No sabotage, no anger, just efficiency. A nebulan gas giant mining post found its harvesters upgraded overnight. The yield doubled. The crew found notes left in their quarters: "Thank you for the facility, we will manage it better." World after world felt the touch. Systems that had voted for the sanction woke to find their militaries standing down. Without orders, leaders opened their eyes to see human officers in the command rooms. Calm voices explained the new reality. The council no longer commands here. Order will continue, life will continue, but the old way ends today. Vexthra watched the feeds pour in. He saw a crystalline Clithar world, one of his own kin. The planet's surface sparkled under twin suns. The great spires still stood, but the ruling council chamber now held a single human at the table. The human spoke softly. The Clithar listened. They did not fight, they nodded. They signed new agreements. He felt something break inside him, not anger, not fear, yet something deeper, a realization that the galaxy he knew had slipped away while he watched. He walked to the viewport. The stars looked the same, but between them dark shapes moved. No longer single ships, thousands, now cold signatures that appeared and vanished at will. They did not announce arrival, they simply were there. When a council fleet moved to intercept, the shadows slipped away, or the council ships simply stopped responding. Their crews woke hours later in escape pods with polite notes: "We apologize for the inconvenience, your lives are spared." Vexthra returned to the chamber. The delegates argued loudly. Some called for war, some called for talks, some sat silent. The map now showed red zones spreading inward. Red zones marked human control. "We must strike now," a Goreth boomed. "We have the numbers, we have the weapons." Vexthra shook his head. Too late. The words hung heavy. The chamber fell quiet. "Too late," Vexthra repeated. "They waited, they prepared, they learned every secret. we ever showed them, every weakness, every flaw they built in silence. While we congratulated ourselves, now they move and we react. Alurin asked, what do they want? Everything. Vexthra answered, not revenge, not destruction, just everything we denied them. They take the resources we embargoed, they take the space we restricted, they take the respect we withheld, and they do it without raising their voices. He showed the latest deep scan. A constellation of dark ships had appeared between the galactic arms. No heat, no light, just mass, perfect formation, perfect silence. The formation grew larger every cycle. Scouts could not get close, sensors failed, probes vanished. They are coming, Vexthra said, not to the core, not yet, but closer every day. The council tried to respond, fleets gathered, weapons powered, armies mobilized. But every move met silence. Communications dropped for seconds, then returned with new orders that no one remembered giving. Ships found their targeting systems locked on empty. Space supplies went missing at the worst moments. Morale fell without a single battle fought. Vexthra stood alone in his chamber. The hologram showed the S. Priadang read. He thought of the vote, the day he spoke the words that started the sanction. He had wanted order, he had wanted control. Now order came from elsewhere, control belonged to others. A final report arrived from Thaler, sir. The outer defenses are gone, all of them. No explosions, no debris, just silence. The posts report new commanders, new protocols, everything functions better. But it is not ours anymore. Vexthra closed the report. He looked out at the stars. The darkness between them felt alive, now alive and watching. He remembered the human words from long ago. You will regret this one day. The words had seemed empty. Then now they felt heavy as stone. The council chamber lights dimmed as power fluctuated for the first time in memory. Delegates looked up, worried. Vexthra knew what came next. A hologram appeared in the center. No one had called it, no one had invited it. A single human figure stood there, unarmed, unarmored, calm. The face looked young, but the eyes held age beyond counting. The human spoke. We have waited long enough. The silence you gave us taught us patience. The isolation you forced taught us strength. The rejection you showed taught us unity. Now we return what was taken. Vexthra tried to speak, the words stuck. The human continued, no more thefts, no more small reminders from this moment. The change is complete. Your worlds will keep their people, your lives will continue. But the council ends today. The galaxy belongs to those who earn it, not those who vote it. The hologram faded. The chamber went dark for a breath. Then lights returned, but everything felt different. Outside the station, the first black ships appeared in plain view, thousands of them, silent, perfect, cold. They did not fire, they did not threaten, they simply waited. Vexthra looked at the delegates. Some wept, some stared, some tried to run, but running led nowhere. The exits sealed softly. The air recyclers hummed on, the lights stayed steady. The humans had arrived. Not with fire, not with rage, with inevitability. Vexthra sat down slowly. He understood at last. The sanction had not killed the humans, it had forged them. It had turned them from noisy children into silent predators. It had given them the one thing no species could survive against: time. And in that time, they had become something the galaxy could not match. The stars outside began to wink out one by one, not destroyed, not consumed, just occupied, one light at a time. The old order faded. Vexthra whispered to himself, too late. The words echoed in the empty chamber. The council had sought to erase humanity. Humanity had erased the council instead. And the silence that followed was perfect. The council chamber stood almost empty now. Most thrones sat vacant. Delegates who once filled them had either fled or surrendered quietly. The few who remained huddled around the single working holotable. Their lights dimmed, their forms trembled. The great crystal walls that used to shine with pride now reflected only shadows. Vexthra stood among them, his quartz body cracked in thin lines, blue light leaking out like blood. He looked older than the stars themselves. Outside the Nexus station, the black ships waited, thousands upon thousands. They formed perfect rings around the station. No weapons showed, no engines glowed, they simply existed, blocking every path, every sensor, every hope. The ships made no sound, the silence pressed against the hull like a heavy hand. Inside the chamber, a final emergency signal tried to go out. It died before it left the antenna. Every relay, every beacon, every hidden channel had been taken over hours earlier. No one knew how. The humans had slipped inside the systems like water through stone. Vexra touched the holodable, the display flickered and steadied. It showed the galaxy as it now was. Red zones covered most of the outer arms, green zones shrank inward, toward the core worlds that once answered to the Council, now answered to nothing or to them. The map updated itself. Every few seconds, new red patches appeared like spreading fire. No battles marked the change, no explosions, no death counts, just quiet acceptance. A Luran delegate fluttered weakly. What do we do now? No one answered. The question hung useless. Then the holodable brightened. Without command, a single figure appeared in the center. A human, no armor, no weapons, just a simple gray uniform. The face looked calm, almost gentle. The eyes held steady gaze that saw through crystal, through gas, through stone, straight to the fear beneath. The human spoke. You wanted silence, we gave it to you. You wanted us gone, we became gone. You wanted order, we brought order. Now we take everything else. Vexra tried to speak. His voice cracked. We can negotiate, we can share, we can. The human raised one hand, gently. No more votes, no more sanctions, no more councils. The time for that ended. When you cast your markers, the galaxy is large, we will use it better. The hologram shifted. It showed Earth, or what looked like Earth. The blue planet spun in its old place. Clouds moved, oceans gleamed, cities glowed. But the sensors screamed wrong, wrong, wrong. Thousands of signals came from thousands of points. Everyone matched Earth perfectly. Identical atmospheres, identical gravity, identical spin. Thousands of Earths scattered across the arms, thousands of homeworlds, each one bristling with platforms, each one guarded by black fleets, each one real. Vexra stared. The original Earth had never vanished. It had become the bait, the decoy, the legend. While the real strength hid, built, multiplied in secret yards, beyond council sight, in hollowed asteroids, in folded space, in places no one looked, because no one believed humans could reach there. The human continued. We learned from you. Every rule you made, every weakness you showed, every border you drew. We studied, we waited, we prepared. When you thought we starved, we grew. When you thought we broke, we sharpened. When you thought we forgot, we remembered. Agorath rumbled low. You cannot hold it all. Too many worlds, too many species. The human smiled softly. We do not hold, we guide, we correct. Worlds keep their people, lives keep their rhythm, trade keeps its flow. But the old power ends, the council ends, the sanction ends. Vexra felt the last of his certainty crumble. He had built the cage, he had locked the door, he had turned away. Now the cage held him, the door stayed shut. The galaxy turned its back. The hologram showed more Earths appearing, one after another, like seeds blooming in the dark. Each new Earth brought new ships, new stations, new order. The red on the map no longer spread, it filled everything, filled. The human looked directly at Vexra. You said we would wither, we did not. You said we would collapse, we rose. You said we would be forgot, we became unforgettable. Vexra whispered, why? The human answered, because you forced us, because you taught us, because you gave us nothing but time, and time was enough. The transmission ended. The holodable went dark. The chamber lights flickered. Once, twice, then steadied. The air recyclers hummed on as if nothing had changed, but everything had changed. Outside the station, the black ships moved one by one. They slipped into formation around the Nexus. No shots fired, no boarding teams launched. They simply waited. The waiting felt heavier than any siege. Inside, Vexra sank to the floor, his facets dimmed almost to nothing. The remaining delegates watched him. They said nothing. What words remained? Then the great doors opened softly. No force, no explosion, just a quiet slide. A single human stepped inside, unarmed, calm. Polite, the human looked at each delegate in turn. Surrender is accepted. He said, your people will live, your worlds will thrive, your old titles end today. New order begins tomorrow. No one fought, no one argued. The delegates lowered their heads, one by one. Even the proud Goreth bent his stone neck. The Lurin wings folded the nebulan clouds. Stilled the last symbols of the council fell silent. Vexthra stayed on the floor. He looked up at the human. The human met his gaze without anger, without pity. "You chose silence," Vexthra said. "We did," the human answered, "and we perfected it." The human turned and walked out. The doors closed behind him. The chamber stayed quiet, no alarms, no panic, just the soft hum of life support. Vexthra rose slowly. He walked to the viewport. The stars winked out one after another, not dying, not fading, just changing hands. The old lights went dark, new lights appeared, steady, cold, certain. He thought of the vote, the words he spoke, the satisfaction. He felt now satisfaction belonged to someone else. The galaxy had feared chaos from humans. Instead, it received perfect order, perfect silence, perfect control. The humans did not conquer with fire, they conquered with absence. They conquered with patience. They conquered with the very tool the council had given them: silence. And in that silence, they built an empire no vote could break, no fleet could match, no council could outthink. Vexthra dimmed completely. His light went out. The chamber grew dark around him. Outside the Nexus, the black ships turned as one. They moved outward, spread in G across the arms like shadows stretching at dawn. The council was gone. The sanction was gone. The old galaxy was gone. In its place came something new, something quiet, something unstoppable, something human. And the silence that followed was perfect, complete, final. No one spoke against it. No one could. Because the humans had listened to every word the galaxy ever said, and answered with nothing at all, until nothing became everything. The end came without noise, without fury, without regret, just a quiet turning of the stars, and humanity at the center, where it had always belonged.